I think that if they are not repaired, then it affects their future. It affects the rest of their lives. So that's why this work that in the plant is doing. I mean, a child with was cleft lip, for example, will continue to live, but in the future, you will be as grow up, you will be reluctant to come openly involved in education and society. So I want everybody in this country, when they need healthcare, emergency or otherwise, a quality healthcare services should be readily available to these families.
Yeah, that's sort of what I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean, you could just put him in an aspen collar and put a graft on that you feel he can put on, right? He's got both thighs that are available, so he's got good skin.
In terms of quality of life, you change things out of sight,
Yeah, and then obviously, you release that and there's going to be quite a large gap there as well, although you do a bit of a Z-plasty sort of. This is exactly the sort of thing that I'd expected to have found when we came. And it'll be done early in the week and early on the list, just in case there are any issues. But I actually think we're going to be able to give him a very, very significant improvement with a relatively simple operation.
Major challenges. And so it's one thing to be able to do the operation, but we have to be able to get him off to sleep safely and then wake him up safely. And he's got, with his neck, the thing that we're looking for is how much he can move. And if we can't get a tube down into his lungs, what our options are to do something else. But we think we'll be okay.
I think it'll be all right. He's got very mobile joints, and including jaw, and his skin he's actually stretched himself by being so active.
He's done a lot of the work for us.
Yeah, and he's got extremely good mouth opening because of his hypermobile joints. So I think he'll actually be intubatable, and if not, we'll be able to use a little device, laryngeal mask, which we'll be able to use for his airway.
And the operation that David's chosen, just rather than starting on the neck, is maybe bring it up from the chest so advanced, and that will make our life a lot easier too. He will be a challenge, but he needs his surgery.
Hello, I'm Sarah.
So this is Madeline Lamani, who's a 6-year-old who's born well but with a partial incomplete cleft lip. She's been functioning very well, defect of a cutaneous lip, which she'd like us to fix, which we'd love to do for her. So we should be able to get to that this time for you. Do you have any other questions?
And then you can stack up a burn and a lump behind it probably.
So we could probably split these clefts up over 2 days.
Yeah, so...
Do you know there's one more to see?
Okay. Well, we've got 6 unilateral incomplete cleft lips. So they're otherwise well kids, palates intact. Very old school method of trying to figure out what we're going to do during the week. Just shuffling the paper to get a good sense of the type of work we've got to go well with the anaesthetist that we have in terms of paediatric and older, and also to spread the load in terms of the demands on the local staff as well, caring for them afterwards, and just shuffling around to make sure we don't overburden each day as well. But I think we'll have enough time and enough work to fill the week quite nicely.
So, as with most of our programs around the Pacific, Rotary have been involved in our programs here in Tonga since the very early days, since the 1980s. The particular program that we're here with at the moment was primarily funded through Rotary, so Rotary clubs in Australia who raised the funds for this trip. But we also work quite closely with the Rotary Club of Nuku'alofa, who are the club based here in Tonga, and they've been very supportive in helping some of the arrangements to get the team here. We'll have the opportunity to meet up with them while we're here and talk about the program and sort of re-establish some of those face-to-face engagements and relationships with them too. It's 1983, so 40 years, and like most of the Pacific Islands of a similar size, Tonga don't have any specialised plastic surgeons. So they've got general surgeons who sometimes have a little bit of an interest in plastic surgery or have some basic plastic surgery skills, but they don't have a permanently based plastic surgeon here who are able to provide the clinical services that are required to the population. So Interplast's focus over the 4 decades that we've been here has been around supporting that clinical service provision, so sending the team in to do the surgery alongside our local partners, but more so I suppose in the last 10 to 15 years our focus has really increased to be more around the capacity building, so building the local capacity to deliver some of the clinical services, but also the peripheral services around the surgery as well.
There was another soft tissue mass that we saw that might also go on the end of the list, but we don't know what else is due to turn up. Actually, what I've been doing for the last 20 minutes is just sort of thinking through what I'm going to be doing. It's a little different to what I would normally be doing at home, but the principles are all the same, and it's just, I guess, getting clear in my own head how I'm going to approach this and let everyone else do their job, and then I'll step in and do mine.
So we're just doing a repair of an incomplete cleft lip. A cleft lip occurs when there's failure of fusion of the components in utero as the embryo develops. So the embryo develops with a plate that folds forward, forming the central part of the lip, and a fold that forms from the side, and these fuse to form the full complete lip. When there's an arrest or a failure for that fusion to complete, then we end up with a cleft. The cleft lip is one of the more common types of facial clefts. There are other rarer, more complicated clefts. It's slightly higher than we're seeing in Australian populations. Yeah, Asian populations have a slightly higher incidence.
Yeah, so we just finished that young boy with the extensive burn scar contractures of his neck and both armpits. It was a challenging intubation for our anaesthetic colleagues, but they got there in the end, which was great credit to them. We had quite extensive release of his anterior chest and lower neck and right armpit in the end. There's always a much bigger gap than you think, and so once I'd done all of that, I felt that we'd created enough of a wound for today, and ended up just grafting that with skin from his thigh, as well as doing what we call some Z-plasties to release some of the tighter bands, particularly in his armpit. But it's all gone really well. He's certainly going to have a very significant improvement from when he walked in the door the other day. He should be able to get his chin up to at least a neutral position. His intubation status from the anaesthetic point of view is significantly improved, so should we have to do anything next time, it'll be much easier. And we can now get his right arm effectively above his head, so functionally he'll be much improved, and I suspect quite happy. The plan, of course, is to get him to heal and then hopefully see him again when we return the next time, and we can look at releasing his left armpit and potentially tidy up a few of the other things that might have deteriorated a bit in that 12 to 18 months until we return. So fortunately for him, because of his age, and I think he's naturally got some hypermobility of his joints, but his joints were very flexible, and once I released the scar in his shoulder easily moved up above his head. Obviously, later in life, those joints tend to stiffen up, and getting that full range back is a bit more challenging, but at his age, I don't expect that he'll have any problems returning to full range.
I think the people of Australia and New Zealand, I'd like to thank to the two countries for the helping, and I'd like to let them know that the Kingdom of Tonga need help every time. I think if he grown up, I'd like to be a doctor. Yeah. I believe he know now the problem happened to him, and I think he would be a doctor. So the problem he is now, I think he can treat the other people in the future.
Rotary is a vital part of what allowing Interplast to offer what it offers to these communities. Clearly they fundraise heavily for Interplast and feel like they are contributing significantly to our work. And it's great to actually have the volunteers come along on occasions to follow us on our trips to these places to actually see the work that we can do. I've been fortunate enough to have a number of observers over the years, and universally they've been overwhelmed by the experience and particularly impressed by the work that we can do in changing these people's lives and the lives of those in their community. The great thing about that is that they become energised about what they've been doing and return to their local clubs and promote what we do and help raise more funds. And that positive feedback cycle is really what keeps it all going. Rotary is a very important part of Interplast.